It's a great day to brew, baby. What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Millzy, back at the hometown commander and per usual arrangement. We're here today to brew a deck for you. This one's going to be a little bit different because I'm not releasing this one under the Millzy Revisit series because I generally went back through and rebrewed this deck, but I got a couple comments for me to go back and take a look at my Be'lakor list, which is one of the most popular Millzy Brews episodes I've done so far, which is pretty cool. I think Be'lakor is a fun commander, definitely just not my choice of Grixis commanders, but I thought that was a good idea. I wanted to go back and take a look at the list, see what I would do differently this time, see kind of how I would maybe change the list I did last time, how I would shift it around, how I would probably build it differently now versus then. I think I've grown a lot as a deck builder since then. I think I've learned a few lessons, especially about demons since then, from watching a friend of mine in my play group playing this deck a lot and kind of seeing the play lines that work. I think it's easy a lot of the times when a commander first comes out or a deck first comes out for you to look at it and say, this is how you're supposed to build it. And sure, there are commanders that work that way, but there are some that I think you learn lessons by getting time in and trying things out. A perfect deck for me that described that for me was a deck like Miram, where, for example, I had an idea of how the deck was supposed to function, but it wasn't until I actually played it and found those little play lines, those little intricacies in the deck that I kind of mastered it. I figured it out. So it's a little bit facetious here, of course, because I haven't played Be'lakor at all, but I've watched someone else play Be'lakor, and I think I've learned a lot of lessons. For this episode, I had him send me his list, and I've kind of taken the liberty to kind of take notes, not necessarily in the like copying his deck list, but just trying to see what is he playing that I'm not playing. What play lines did he find? And so we're going to talk about that a little bit. What I'd like to do for this episode is compare this. This is the original list that I brewed back in, I don't even know. It's November, September, October, somewhere around there, and the new one. So what I'm going to do is kind of go section by section. I want to talk about some of the lessons I learned and how I rebrewed it. So this is the original list. I had some of the pathways and I had some other things. For the new list, I stripped the pathways out, pulled back in the Crumbling Necropolis. I think I pulled in Reflecting Pool on this one, and I think I pulled in Nykthos on this one as well, because I figured once we get enough demons down, I feel like Nykthos is going to do a good job for us. No Cabal Coffers Urborg, just because I don't actually know how often we can actually find Cabal Coffers. Yes, we have plenty of tutors in the deck, but I don't think that's what we want to tutor for. I think we really want to tutor for other things, but there's the mana base as it sits. Going up to the enchantments, you can see on the old list, I really tried to make this Sneak Attack, Flame Shadow Conjuring, Molten Echoes plan from the Miram deck work. And I think in a lot of ways it was a good strategy, but I think what I did was I tried to carbon copy Miram into dragons, which I don't think was a negative mindset. I just don't think it worked. So what I tried to do this time was pull out the Flame Shadow Conjuring, the Snake Attack. We keep the Reflections of the Jar. We throw Warstorm Surge in because Warstorm Surge kind of doubles our commander. If you think about it, it kind of acts as another copy of Be'lakor. If Be'lakor gets removed and we can't get it back out, we're also playing, the Panharmonicon, which will double both, or if we have both of them out, it'll quadruple that effect, making it even better. Ristic Study, I believe, like last time, Liliana's Contract, Heartless Summoning to reduce those creatures, and then Black Market Connections staying. So overall, very similar for the enchantments, just pulling out that sub-theme in order to put in Warstorm Surge, and we're going to see a little bit more of a focus in the spells of the deck. Artifacts, I'm pretty sure I'm playing the exact same 13 artifacts. I really like this suite. I like the mana suite. I think we can use the 3 talismans really well. We're playing just the Rakdos Signet as opposed to the others. We have the Urza's Incubator and the Herald's Horn, which I actually just realized I added the Incubator and I cut the mirror box. That's what it was. Because I think the Incubator is going to help us more often than not get ourselves up to the mana threshold we need for some of those demons being at 6, 7, 8, 9 mana. We need to push ourselves up the scale pretty quickly, and I think Incubator does a good job with that. We're also playing the Herald's Horn as well. Felwar Stone coming in because more often than not, we're going to sit down at a table and someone is going to be playing in our colors, so that should help. Chromatic Lantern just helps us fix up that mana. Now, where the instances where we're going to start just shifting slightly on our game plan. We're playing a lot very similar. I chose to bring in the Essence Flux for the Displace. And the reason was I think more often than not, I think just flickering one demon is going to be good enough. Ghostly Flicker can do more than one, but I think just flickering one could get us pretty far, especially with something like Molten Echoes, because Molten Echoes doesn't care about casting, it just cares about entering the battlefield. So I think Essence Flux will be enough. Same thing with Ghostly Flicker, but I just chose to come into Essence Flux over the Displace just to make that bounce effect cheaper, allow us to have more access to that, and then that way Mystical Tutors can still get either. Pardon me, can still get either of them. But I think it just opens up the range of situations. The other thing I like about Essence Flux is it only costs one single blue. So there are going to be turns where we dump 8 mana into a demon or 6 or 7 mana into a demon, and we may only have 1 blue left. This is protection. This would protect a creature from a single target removal. This could blink Bellicor and protect it. I just think it opens up a few more opportunities for us over just running the Displace and the Ghostly Flicker. And the rest of the enchantment slots is the same. Moving up into the sorceries are getting a little different. I think because I wanted to try something a little bit different, and that's because I think I want to play a little bit more into reanimation than I did before. I think we're a deck that's going to be very heavily stopped by a board wipe, so I threw in Patriarch's Bidding, hopefully. So that we can kind of get a one-sided mass reanimation. And the cool part about this is if we were to dump Bellicor in and then Patriarch's Bidding, we would get all of those triggers when they come back, and Bellicor would see them all at the same time. Now, if we let Bellicor go to the graveyard and then mass reanimated it with Patriarch's Bidding as well, it would probably still see all of them as well. But I see this scenario where Patriarch's Bidding brings back all of the demons that people have gotten rid of or that have died in combat or whatever it may be, and kind of brings back all those triggers. I also added the Irenicus's Vow Duplication. The reason I like this is because it stops it prevents it makes the token be not legendary. And I feel like that's going to come into more handy when we start seeing some of these legendary demons that we have, or even just Bellicor itself. We could Irenicus's Bellicor, have another copy of Bellicor that when we're dumping these demons and we're getting twice the triggers and doing more of the things. And I did Faithless Looting as well. I think we just want a little bit more of that draw early game. We had the Ponder in there last time, but I kind of like the idea of just getting that little bit more of cheap draw quickly into our hand. And then with the Faithless Looting, we could pitch demons into our graveyard to either straight reanimate them here or bring them back with a Patriarch's Bidding or something like that. So I think it just opens up slightly more options as far as our draws go. Now, for the creatures, I think the creature set is a little bit similar, but what I tried to do really here was take a deep dive into the demons and pick really what I think I would play. We see the same little suite last time of Sakashima, Spark Double, and Thassa. Sakashima and Spark Double, of course, both wanting to copy Bellicor, but I think there's other demons in the list we don't mind copying either. And then Thassa being another way to blink those demons, get more damage from Bellicor, but also take advantage of any ETBs like Rakdos, for example, or any other things. Rakdos we could blink it at the end step with Thassa and get its ability again. I'd considered Conjurer's Closet, but the reason I didn't throw Conjurer's Closet in as well is I didn't want too many slots in the deck being these bouncers, because the only bad part about Thassa is once we run out of creatures to blink, we can't blink the creatures anymore. Whereas I think at worst case scenario, we can always copy, we could always copy Bellicor with these other effects. So as far as the demons, I almost said dragons. As far as the demons go, I just try my best to cherry pick the demons I think did the most for the amount of mana we're spending. 5 mana Depravity. Each opponent's end step, that player chooses 2 creatures and then sacrifices the rest. I think this is going to help keep our opponents at our kind of pace, make sure that they stay not too far ahead. I, as a token deck, have gotten shut down by this a couple times and just stopping me from exploding, which I think is really helpful. Archfiend of Despair, making our opponents lose equal life to the same life they've lost that turn. So if we can spread our attacks out, or with Bellicor, that's going to double the amount of damage they've done and help us through in there. Balor just gives us a lot of value for 5 mana. Blood Crusher of Khorne, giving all of our demons trample, which is pretty great because they're already in the air to begin with, but this is going to stop our opponents from chump blocking with 1/1 flyers, birds and that kind of thing. Bloodthirster can make an additional combat. Very often it's the only thing attacking on those additional combats because it's the only thing that gets untapped. But I think it's probably still useful, and it still fights into this despair plan if that's the route we want to go. Burning Rune Demon. This is cool because we get to put one in our hand and the other into the graveyard, depending on how we pick. We could load our graveyard for a reanimate spell. We could do a lot of good things. A lot of times with this, you just give your opponent a terrible choice and then, reap the benefits. Demon of Dark Scheme seems interesting, plays around with the energy mechanic, but its ETB gives everything -2/-2 our opponents, all other creatures. And then for some energy, which we get when other creatures die, we can bring things back from the graveyard. So just a little bit of reanimation stapled on a demon. Doom Whisperer can help us look at cards off the top, put them in the graveyard if need be. Great and Clean One, I feel like it just fits the lore. I like it because, you make everybody lose 2 life, and then you're going to get those demons, which is pretty cool. Harvester of Souls, remember, not when a creature dies, you draw a card. You may draw a card. So that's a May, so we can do it as much as we want, but hopefully we're killing our opponent's creatures and reaping the rewards. Herald of Slash giving our demons haste, which I think is going to be one of the huge things that comes into play for us, as well as that reduction by 2. I feel like this is one of those demons we want pretty quickly, so we can start nuking the other one down. Carter are going to get a goad all of our opponent's creatures, keep us out of the firing line for just a minute, but hopefully Carter can come down at the right time to kind of manipulate the board in our favor. Keeper of Secrets to help us mainly just first strike and haste, but if we cast some things from elsewhere, it would allow us to deal some damage. We're not playing as much into this Cascadey plan. I just think a 6/4 for 6 with first strike and haste is a good thing, and it could come into handy for us. Lord Xander just feels right for the deck. If it sticks around, it does a lot of really good stuff, but even if it gets removed right away, we get to nuke half of somebody's permanents. Ob Nixilis, great way to shut down graveyard or decks that want to search their libraries. Plague Drones, stopping people from gaining life. In fact, it says if an opponent would gain life, they lose that much life instead. This should shut down some life strength strategies or even straight up life gain decks that could stop us. I think the other fun part about Plague Drone is if you're playing against these combo decks that run around Commander, you could shut down the Aether Flux Reservoirs of the world, which is pretty cool. Rakdos, creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each life your opponents have lost this turn. So with this out and with Belcor out, we just need like 1 demon to come down, deal the damage, and all of our demons cost even cheaper. So that's pretty cool. Rakdos is our little mini board wipe, flipping a coin for each creature that isn't a demon, devil or imp, and then destroy his creature who comes up, whose coin comes up tails. And the best part with Thassa or with Molten Echoes or with Panharmonicon, we can double that ability and keep it going and try to get rid of all our opponent's creatures. Rakshasa Debaser, whenever it attacks, we put a creature from defending player's graveyard on the battlefield under our control, which is pretty cool. It's just going to help us get creatures back and take advantage of some of our opponent's stuff in their graveyard. Razaketh, pretty cool. Paying 2 life, sack another creature, go get a card and put it into our hand. Pretty much just going to go get the things we need. It's another little mini tutor. It's on a creature, and I don't think we mind getting rid of some of the small creatures if we have something like this out or some of these things that make tokens or steal our opponent's things. Razaketh doesn't mind sacrificing them for getting us that search. Runescar Demon, just a flat tutor on ETB. That's great because with Panharmonicon we can double it. With Thassa we can get it again. Runescar Demon's one of those ones that goes a really long way for us. Soar of Discord, choose 2 players. When damage is dealt to one of them, the other chosen player also loses that much life. So the cool part here with Bellicor is if we pick 2 players, they basically are going to take double the damage from Bellicor because we deal the damage with the ETB ability. And then with the demon coming in, this is going to see that they each took damage and basically double it and damage both of them. So that's pretty cool. You pick the 2 people you're the most worried about. And then Varagoth does have a little bit of a search there on its attack ability. So Bellicor seems kind of interesting. Again, it's not a deck that I think I want to play. I still find the deck interesting theoretically. I think demons are a fun tribe, and I think they open up this fun kind of go for the big one, get the big boys down and deal damage, which is not traditionally a Grixis thing. It's more of a green thing. But I think Grixis, the demons just find their way to do it in their own kind of black mana way. And I really appreciate that. I'd like to know, what do you guys think of this list over the original one? The links to both this list and the original list are going to be down in the description. I'd love to hear what you guys think about them. What do you think about the changes? Did I make the list better? Did I make it worse? You guys are always really great at the feedback, and I really like that. That makes me feel like you guys are actually looking at the list, telling me what you think. And I'd love to hear from the Bellacore players in the comments. What do you think of the list? What should I add? And all that good stuff. Drop me a like if you like this one. Shoot me a subscribe if you can't wait for Phyrexia LB1 content. It is coming out next week. I'm very excited to brew around Phyrexia LB1. We are almost there. We've almost seen the whole set yet, but we're not quite there yet. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you next time.